Hi, people. I'm back again with part two of my testimony about my apartment. So, as I was living in this shelter for about 6 months, and then God blessed me with, on the fifth month, I should say, God blessed me with a contract job that I did. And I determined within myself whether I know or not that the contract will be renewed. I'm moving out of this shelter exactly on the sixth month, exactly the date we move in on the sixth month. So my daughter and I went to share with people because if you're on contract basis, you do not earn the full salary. So I didn't yet have a salary to pay for a whole apartment for myself. So maybe in a flat, we would share a room with other people living in other rooms and things like that. But as most of you would know, that is not an ideal arrangement, especially if you have a child. And mind you that there's different kinds of people, different kinds of behaviors living under one roof. So it never was convenient for us at all. It never was convenient at all, at all. And especially having a child, it was very painful for me because you know you want to raise your child in a certain way, but now she becomes exposed to other things that you wouldn't have exposed her to given a choice. So, but fortunately, after 8 months of the contract was on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off for 8 months. And after 8 months, I managed by the grace of God, to secure permanent employment with the same place that had given me a contract. So, and before, when I was still on contract, because I was tired of this kind of arrangement I was staying with other people and stuff like that, I took a risk with the little salary that I was earning, hoping that God will come through for me. I took a risk to go and apply for a flat. There's a flat that I identified, it was convenient for me, which is exactly this flat that I'm currently in. And I'm now sitting on the balcony of that particular flat. This is actually the backyard. The flat that you see behind me is our neighbor. It's not where we stay, but I'm in the balcony, like more or less the backyard of the flat that I live in. So I identified this flat. I went to submit my documents with that little salary that I had. But the guy who was attending to me told me that no, your salary is not enough. At least get someone who will, even though they're not gonna stay with you, but at least apply together so that at least it can give power when they see both of your incomes combined. So a friend of mine volunteered to apply with me, but things didn't go right. He volunteered and then the application was approved, but money wouldn't come. Money wouldn't come to pay the deposit and all the costs that are needed to move into a flat. Up until I was due to move out where I was staying because I had given a notice, hoping that this particular flat will come through in that time. So I had to look for something in the meantime because this flat wouldn't come through at the time, and I had to move out because I had given notice wherever I was staying. And I had some of my money tied in my application for this particular flat that didn't come through. So I had to apply for it to release. You know, when you cancel, but you still are going to be charged some fees, cancellation fees, and stuff like that. And there are some funds that you will forfeit because you made them use their paper or their resources to apply for you, to check your credit record and all stuff like that. But in any case, I move in another flat very quickly, and that will be a story for another day. I was also sharing where I was moving because That's what I could do at the moment. So I cancelled this particular application for this flat because it was really giving me troubles and it was really stressing me up. I cancelled, so whatever money that they could free for me, that means they could pay me back, I got, but most of the money I did not get. So that was still when I was still on contract in the place before I got the offer for permanent employment. So interviews came and stuff like that, and I was fortunate to be one of those selected for permanent employment, and I started working permanently. Then I could apply on my own, and I was so fortunate that this particular flat was still available. The reason I wanted this particular flat is because their balconies are huge. So most of us, if not all of us, we use our balconies as our washing area where you hang your clothes after washing, because we avoid to go to the sharing part where everyone hangs, where everyone in the building hangs. So, and at least I could also use it as a space for my daughter to play because I have a child. So it act as a mini backyard. So that's why I was praying so hard to God to keep this place for me. And God did exactly that. And at this time I could pay for myself because I was working permanently and the salary was more than double what I was earning when I was on contract. So I could pay for myself. All the monies that were involved, I managed to pay. Then I moved in. So I want to say God is good. There were challenges. You know, when you've been homeless for a lot of times, also the enemy is fighting you so hard because he doesn't want you to give that testimony that I was once homeless and this is what God did for me. So he was fighting my testimony left, right, and center. And I took it light that I should make a video of this kind. But now, as I'm talking to you, I realize that it was necessary for me to make a video of this kind because at times, and especially at times when I was staying in the shelter, I would wonder, God, will it ever happen that I would rent a place of my own? I didn't purchase this place, I'm renting it. But for me, it's a breakthrough. For someone who once was sleeping in other people's houses, things were not okay, who once was homeless with a child, who once was staying in a shelter, sharing an environment with different kinds of characters of people. Wickedness is there, evil is there, different attitudes, different behaviors, no matter how kind you are or you try to be, but people, they will always be what they want to be towards you. Like, I had to, it was beyond my control. My daughter had to be exposed to those kind of things as well. And I believe, even though those were not nice experiences, but I believe God also on her side is preparing her for something. That's why he allowed her to go through such things with me. So really, I needed to give God glory for all this. I needed to give God glory for all this because it is not every day that someone would afford to pay for a place of my own, of their own. For some of us, it doesn't come naturally. For some people, it's something that they go into smoothly. But for some of us, we have to fight things. We have to fight spirits. We have to fight opposition from the enemy, which is Satan, and from those who don't wish us good. So personally, I'm really grateful that God has done this for me. I was just checking how long is the video. Maybe you see me looking one side. But I thank you for listening, my people. This is really my testimony. Let me just give you a view of my neighborhood. Right now, I don't feel... This is the flat behind me. This is the walls that separate each and everyone's balconies, and the view that you see there is the street view. there are flats there behind on the streets. If you see, there's a vehicle passing, and then on this side, this is okay. Never mind my basin, and there, these are the flats that are behind us, right? Our neighbors hanging their clothes there. I just thought I should show you this. To encourage someone, it is a stepping stone, it is a starting point for me. I know one day, if God can do this, He's able to do greater one day. So, if you are someone who is believing God for something, I hope this gives you hope that you can depend on Him. He's a dependable God. You can depend on Him. He doesn't disappoint. As long as we listen to Him and follow the steps that He says we need to take to get to our breakthrough. Because at times we need a breakthrough, but God will be downloading to us that this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, but we don't follow those steps, and then we end up blaming God that God didn't come through for me. At least that used to be my attitude before. But I thank God now, the minute I decided to choose obedience, I can see a difference in my life. Because there's a saying that goes, if you keep on doing the same thing over and over again and expect different results, that amounts to stupidity. So at some point in my life, I decided to do things differently and see if the results will be different to what I'm used to what I'm accustomed to. And to tell you the truth, as I change most of my behaviors, I'm really seeing a difference in my life.